Hey everybody, Eric Hayden here on YouTube. We'll start with the good news before we get to the bad news. The good news is, look at these roses that we ordered from Palentine back in early December they came. That is Gemini. Again, some of the blooms are small because they have been kept inside. But I did want to update you on the frost damage. I hope you enjoyed the last video that we did, which was on the mulch in my parents' garden. Took a little trip up there for spring break. We're back home, got in late last night, and I quickly noticed all the lawns in the neighborhood look like this. And you might say, wow, that looks terrible. It does. This is what the lawns look like in December, January, February, early March. This is how they naturally look when they go dormant here in the South. We're talking mid-South, Gulf Coast or Florida, maybe they stay green year round. But here in the Carolinas, our southern grass, in this case centipede, goes dormant. That's natural, and then it starts to green up in the spring. What's not natural is to have a hard freeze the first couple days of April down to 24. And that's what happened. So our grass, which was 80 to 90% greened up, instantly turned black green, which if you haven't seen the last video, look back at it. It smelled, it looked terrible here. And now we're in the recovery phase. So the grass is not dead. If you look really carefully, there is some green down in here. And on some of them, this is a good example that the ends are burned from getting down to 24. But farther down on the leaf blade, it's green. So I am optimistic. You can see some green in here. The reality is it's the first 7 days of April, and now this is setting us back. So we probably won't have the 80 to 90% green up that we had last week until May. So we're about a week behind. So it's going to look terrible. There's not much you can do. You don't want to pump fertilizer on it. I may cut it to remove some of the dead ends, and I may water it because we've been dry. But if you have a plant that's suffering stress, whether it's grass in this case or roses, last thing you want to do is fertilize it. Nothing was unscathed. I have zero idea what bush this is. It's a landscaping bush. Feel free to comment below if you know what it is. It's variegated. It looks pretty neat, but it got blasted. Any of the new growth on top, this brown, it got burnt pretty bad. The blueberries, I can't really tell. They look like they got blasted pretty good as well. And now we'll look at the roses. As far as the roses go, I'm not going to do anything for now. I might wait another day or two just to see what damage has really been done. But you can see the ones that were wilted never came back. They're shriveled up. I'm going to prune those off. The rest of the roses, if they're not drooping like that, they look like almost like if you've ever sprayed your roses with too strong a concentration of fertilizer or fungicide, or you did something wrong. That's what they look like. All these outer leaves are crispy, and this is not good. The rose, hasn't died, but that's a severe shock, and it's going to take a while to recover from that. So this is all the new growth. This is one that I haven't pruned. So this just shows, Mother Nature is in charge. There's just not much you can do. You can delay your pruning so that, I'll show you some examples of that, so that you have some growth that's more dormant and more protected. But these bushes were not pruned at all, so were just left, as is. And any of this new tender growth, listen to this, it's all crispy, it's burnt. So by no means is this rose bush dead, but the top 10% got burned really bad. And why do I know that the rose itself is okay? Again, farther down on the bush, you have more dormant eyes. So I'm not a farmer, I'm not relying on a crop. In the whole scheme of things, it's fine. However, it's going to be weeks and weeks until we see blooms in these gardens, where our normal bloom was probably the first and second week of May. It may be delayed by a couple weeks this year. There's other ones that look more severely damaged, and I'm just going to have to see what happens. This is all crispy, so all this new growth on something I just pruned is completely dead. I'll have to watch the canes and see if they show signs of life. So not looking good in the garden. Anything new or tender got shocked really, really bad, and in most cases burned. I always like to end my videos with some good news. A little bit of that good news is, again, roses are resilient. These, tender shoots toward the ends were impacted, but some of these more dormant bud eyes like that were not impacted because they can take more cold temperatures. So as we mentioned in the last video, we have a lot of canes, a lot of length. We may just have to take these back and prune out what was damaged, because you can certainly see anything that was tender is now burnt to a crisp and it is dead. So we may as well just prune that out. So looks bad now, but you check out my videos in the coming weeks. I'm optimistic. And here's another example, something that had pushed out more, dead, something that was more dormant, perfectly fine. So what am I going to do? A lot of nothing. I'm going to monitor them. If I see anything that is obviously dead, I'll prune that out. But I'm just going to kind of take it easy on them. I am probably going to water. And again, I'm coming over to some of these beds for the first time. Just look at this. Look at this damage. Terrible. All dead on top. Any of these new shoots, dead, 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 dead. So I'll kind of watch and see what happens. Some of it I won't prune back, because if the cane is still good, there's other bud eyes that are going to take over, because we mentioned before that how they have multiple bud eyes, 3, a terminal and 2 side ones that can take over. But what I need to watch out for is this. I mean, this cane looks like it's dead. So in some cases we're talking severe loss to the cane itself, and that will have to be pruned out. So just a terrible looking garden right now. I'm optimistic, but the more and more I look at all this death, really discouraging. The most positive thing can be that it's just going to take weeks for this stuff to come back, but it will eventually come back. But it may take a good month until we look like we did before, because again, temperature is down to 24. Not much you can do about that. So in the meantime, a whole lot of nothing. I'll watch to see what is going on, prune out any obvious dead canes, anything dead, and then water and let it recover. No fertilization, just kind of let things simmer, and we'll go from there. As far as the lawn goes, same thing. We don't fertilize here until late May when we're fully greened up. It's in a dormant state now. It's not dormant, but it looks like it. We will continue to water it as necessary, not overwater it, but just baby it along. No fertilization, no dry periods, just treat it as good as possible and then hope for the recovery. So this video was taken the first week of April. I'm losing track of time. I think it's the 7th or 8th today. But I'm making this mental placeholder on this video so that you can see the recovery, because I am an optimistic person, so I'm hoping things will recover. These canna lilies took a hit as well. They're looking pretty terrible as well. They just got totally decimated, but they'll pop back up here, hopefully in the course of a couple weeks. I did make it over to the blueberry patch. I don't know if we'll have any blueberries this year. This is all dead and burnt pretty bad on the ends. So what happens when we get to 24, the April 3rd or 4th, whenever it occurred here, you can have some dire consequences. So look for some updates. It may be a while until I do my next update. There's no point showing you yellow grass or dead roses. So if you don't hear from me, that's why. We're waiting. We're in recovery mode. And when I have something to post, new growth, fertilization, whenever we get to that point, I will certainly do so. In the meantime, please comment below. I'm sure if you've been a long-time grower, you've suffered something like this before. Got any tips? Share with the rest of our audience. Always looking for new ways to try to grow these roses. Take care, everyone.